Alright, this is Product 12. We're listening to Shardcast. Let's play with some green stuff. Welcome to my hobby desk. So I've laid out the tools that I think I'm going to need. The most important one is water. You got to keep everything wet in order to keep the green stuff from sticking to it. It turns out I'm not going to use the wooden stick and the toothpicks at all. I have no idea what I'm doing. At this point in my life, I've used a little bit of green stuff for gap filling, and I hate gap filling, so I don't even do it much. But hey, we're gonna go with it. I've been watching some videos. We'll see what happens. So green stuff is a form of, I guess it's kind of like a two-part epoxy. There's the blue side and the yellow side. So I'm just gonna kind of cut across, and I think because mine's been sitting for a bit, the blue is spread out. So I'm actually not getting a 50-50 amount, but it's close enough. Cutting out the middle, because where the two touch, there's a chemical reaction that is going to make it very sticky at first, and then it's going to cure very hard. And I don't want any knobbly bits inside. So I'm going to take the two, I'm going to twist them around, and then I'm going to roll it around in a ball until it's kind of this dark greenish kind of look. And then now I'm going to be able to start working it. And you're going to see me always like getting my fingers in the water and dipping my tools in the water, because if they're wet, it won't stick to it. So if I remembered the camera when I'm doing this, you would see me flatten it out, and then I'm kind of tearing it, just pulling it apart with my fingers so it has these little tattered edges on it. And I think if I had it thinner, the tatters would be better. And for this first guy, I decided I just want to go with like a flesh masky kind of thing. And I'm going to go with a less is more approach on this one. I'm going to leave a lot of this little sculpting in here so you can see how fiddly it is and how often I mess up and kind of just how I work around with it. I'm using the tiny end of my modeling tool to kind of like etch some eyeballs in there, like a little nose, so there's kind of an illusion of a face that this guy tried to give himself a flesh face by putting this thing over there. I'm going back and I'm tearing some more pieces here, and I wanted to get some more, so I actually cut myself another ball and mix that all together. And I'm trying to just kind of mold it out and thin it so that when I pull on it, I get some tattered bits. And I'm going to try to make a cloak hood kind of thing for one of these other guys. So once I got the green stuff thin enough, it's just a pulling motion where I'm trying to stretch it out so it tears as it's coming apart, and I get those tattered edges. And now I'm just kind of molding them around. The green stuff is very sticky, so it's going to stick to the model. So got another piece there, going to do the other side. I'm going to try to get some kind of hood together, and I'm actually going to overload the hood a bit, I think. I'm going to come back to it later in the video. But mostly, I just want to slap some of this on here and see how it turns out. And again, this is the first time I'm doing this, so it's probably not going to look great, but hey, we'll see what happens. When you're working with this stuff, you just need to keep wetting your tools and your fingers. You can tell when the green stuff starts sticking to your fingers, or if it starts sticking to the tool, you just need to go back in. And water is enough to keep it from sticking, but you're going to have to keep reapplying as a continuous process, even dipping the knife in the water, so that when you're cutting the green stuff after it has been mixed together, it's not sticking to the knife. So I got myself some more green stuff. This is a piece of parchment paper I use for my wet palette. And I'm using this, and I'm gonna roll out some real flat green stuff. And I use the parchment paper because it won't stick to it. And now I got my knife wet, and then my finger's wet, and I'm gonna cut strips, like there's skin wrapping. And I'm gonna use these both to look like the guys use this to tie their axes on, and then I'm also going to do like skin wrapping. So here's one of the guys with where I cut longer on the shaft, and I'm going to wrap it around the arm. And I'm going to do this with the other guy that has a similar arm axe thing. I use my tweezers a lot for these wrappings, and I dip the tweezers in the waters first. The green stuff wouldn't stick to it. This guy decided just to do like these big chunks of skin and just wrap it around the chest, like he was trying to, cover himself and give himself that body. So I just get various pieces and I'm gonna wrap them around and try to crisscross a little bit and get around the back. I'm gonna go back and forth a little bit on these two, just depending on the size of the wrapping. This guy, I wanted to do more of like wrapping around individual parts, so I want to give him a bit of a flesh mask wrap, and then I'm gonna do some around parts of the arms and some around parts of the legs. I'm gonna leave the chest area open. We're going to start hitting the individual limbs here. And this guy, the chest area, we're going to keep pretty metallic, and then we're going to cover up a lot of the legs and the arms and stuff with these flesh wraps. Wanted to develop more on this guy's hood, and so I put another piece on here, and I think I probably went overboard before I was done, but we'll see how it all looks in the end. And for a first go, I think I did all right. So there's Mr. Face Mask, and I think this guy probably came out the best. I like his wraps. This guy's looking kind of fat in the middle. We'll see how it comes out with the painting, but yep, we're gonna go with it. And again, the hood might be a little bit much at the top, but I think it'll change a lot when we paint it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and use some texture paste and some Grelin Earth from Citadel and add some texture to these guys. I saw a guy on Midwinter Minis do this back on some of his Necrons, and I think what it's going to do is when I dry brush rust later on, it's going to catch that and kind of make these guys look more aged and corroded. So we're going to dab this Vallejo Earth texture on some of the smoother portions, and then I'm going to take the Citadel Grelin Earth, which is a crackle paint. I'm going to put that on some shoulder plaids, and I think I'm going to put it on the axe and see if I can get some interesting cracked effects so it looks like the metal is cracking and rusting. So we're just going to throw some of this on these guys. A Grelin Earth is a texture paste from Citadel, and when it dries, it cracks. So we're going to put this over these smooth shoulder plates and see if we can get an interesting crack effect on there. And we're also going to put some on the axe, the kind of flat parts of the blade as well. Alright, that is about where I wanted to get with these guys, and it also was all the time that I had. So we're going to leave these all day, and the crackle paint will crack, and the texture paste will dry really hard, and the green stuff will start drying hard. And I will go ahead and prime these guys up tonight, and we're going to see if we can bang out most of the painting tomorrow. We're going to mostly speed paint these guys so my son can get them on the table with his Necron warriors. So if you hobbied today and made a video, please link it in the comments below. I would love to take a look at it. And we're going to give these guys a good amount of time to dry, prime them up, and when we come back tomorrow, we're going to start painting and washing and dry brushing and seeing if we can get these guys coming out pretty cool looking. Thanks. Have a good one.